Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. I am Mick, your host, but the most just ask your girlfriends, your wives, and especially your husbands. You can follow me on X Twitter at Movies TV Mad. And welcome to Friday's edition of the DCU Daily. The problem with the Justice Gang in James Gunn's Superman, it's a characterization we've seen from Gunn again, and again. We saw it in Guardians of the Galaxy. We saw it in that trilogy. We saw it in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. We saw it in Peacemaker. The Justice Gang in Superman is evidence that James Gunn is a one-trick pony. If you take every clip from the Justice Gang in Superman, put it together to make a 5-episode streaming show called The Justice Gang, I believe that you and I would low-key enjoy that. But this is not a Justice Gang movie. This is a Superman movie, and these characters have no place in this movie. And what he does, he takes this character aesthetic and he does the same thing he done in Guardians, where the Justice Gang are this kind of corporate, kind of superhero team, where Superman is a freelancer. This isn't a spoiler. You already know this already, right? That's what happens. And Superman is trying to inspire them to step out of their corporate mentality and be people, be metahumans, be heroes, put the people of Metropolis and the world first, instead of their corporate boss, Maxwell Lord, right? Kind of an interesting little idea. The problem is with it, we've seen it from Gunn again and again and again. And let me tell you, from someone who's actually seen this film, this does a great deal for the Justice Gang members as characters, but this does nothing for Superman as a character. And there lies the problem. It does not make Superman more relatable because Superman isn't relatable. A god from another planet with superpowers isn't going to be relatable to you or to I. That's not the idea. He is an aspirational character. He is an aspirational hero. The reason that he worked in 1978, because we saw how good he was and how heroic he was, and we wanted to aspire to be as heroic as him. This is why we love Marty McFly. Marty McFly isn't us on the big screen. He's a young man we want to aspire to be because he's a good kid, brought up by good people, trying to do the right thing. That's what great cinema is, everyone. Aspirational, not seeing yourself on the screen. But modern day Hollywood refuse to believe this. So, that's the problem with the Justice Gang in this movie. They're just the same thing we've seen from Gunn again and again and again. And what's quite interesting is I swear he's a one-trick pony just to prove that he didn't steal the idea for Guardians of the Galaxy from that female writer. There are rumours that there was a female writer with an original screenplay that Gunn took for himself. And, it wouldn't surprise me if he's just trying to prove that that isn't the case. Because it is interesting. Because Gunn never did his character aesthetic as well as he did it in the first movie. It's not quite the same in the second and third movies, although he tries. It's not the same in his Suicide Squad movie. I think his Suicide Squad movie is peak James Gunn more than the first Guardians of the Galaxy, though. It's rather different. It's an R-rated movie. Basically, Gunn works so well in this R-rated universe. But when it comes to Superman, what he's attempting to do simply doesn't work, especially with the Justice Gang. I don't necessarily think that you're going to like the Justice Gang. I don't think you're going to dislike the Justice Gang either, but they have no place in a Superman movie. And I believe if you take their scenes out and give them their own movie or own streaming show, that, as I said earlier, you could low-key like that. And that's the problem with the Justice Gang in this movie. It's nothing we haven't seen from Gunn before. And his Guy Gardner, for me, isn't the Guy Gardner from the comics or the animated shows we've seen him in. There's something parody about Guy Gardner in this movie. But here's the thing. James Gunn is also a parody of a modern day writer-director. He believes he's one of the best directors that there has ever been. He believes that, and so do his stands. But here's the problem. There's a difference between talking to his stands on threads and an international, international journalists. When you're talking to international journalists, they're not just going to swallow the bullshit that you say to them. World journalists, the world's press. When you're addressing the world's press, it's very different than approaching your own stands. The problem with Gunn is he treats the world's press the way he treats his stands on threads. He talks to the world's press the way he talks to his stands on threads. And it isn't going to cut it. I remember when he did that press event a few months ago, and the world's press was not very impressed with what he did, because they felt, and they relayed this to me in no uncertain terms, that it was a waste of time. It was like he wanted to tell them that all these shows were on a back burner, that all these movies were on the back burner, because as I said a few videos back, James Gunn's Gods and Monsters list of movies and TV shows was a facade. His slate was nothing but bullshit to create hype. And once the lie got... This is the thing with a lie. When a lie gets to a certain place, you have to cut it down. A liar has to find a way to step back from his own lies, because now it's real. Superman is coming. And as I said, for many, many months, and for the 2 years we've been building up towards the release of this movie, Gunn was all right when this movie was coming soon, when it was 6 months away, 12 months away, 18 months away, 2 years away. It was fine. He could say and do whatever he wanted just for hype. I don't believe he realised that this day was coming in a way, the way he's acted. Now he's out there to the world's press selling this movie, and it simply isn't working. Many critics and reviewers are not impressed with this movie, and these things are leaking out. This movie may make top dollar. People may like it. The public may like it. We've seen from Jurassic World Rebirth that although critics and reviewers have been unkind towards that movie, that the money is coming in. And I don't know how much that movie's going to make. It's an interesting situation. And it's an interesting situation for Warner Brothers to see as well, to see how this movie does. Now, to me, Jurassic World Rebirth, Superman, Fantastic Four, they're retreads, aren't they? These are just retreads. There's nothing new. There's no originality. Back to the Future was a blockbuster with originality. E.T. was a blockbuster with originality. Close Encounters of the Third Kind was a blockbuster with originality. Jaws was absolutely, really, it was kind of the birth of the blockbuster, along with Star Wars 77, were blockbusters with originality. There's no originality with Jurassic World Rebirth. They keep on telling you this is going back to the original Spielberg movie, but we've seen the original Spielberg movie. This is the problem with reboots and relaunches. We've seen them all before. It's too soon, wait till we're all dead to do this. But this is why Hollywood is dying on this hill. So there's nothing new to see here. That's the problem with this situation. Superman is a retread of everything that James Gunn has done before. And as I say, this man is nothing more than an embarrassing parody of himself and modern day entertainment. And this is why modern day entertainment are in a lot of trouble, because the actors are not characters anymore. We're seeing that from all the Superman interviews. They're going through the motions. And the funniest thing is, every time I see an interview, Superman was inspired by this, Superman was inspired by that, and Superman was inspired by the other. Where's your fucking originality? Audiences are not going to fall for this, James. They don't want to hear you were inspired by every fucking movie they ever loved. They want to see that you're being original with this character, just like Smallville was, just like Superman and Lois was, just like Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman was, right? Have your own take. But here's the thing, Gunn never had his own take for Superman. Gunn never wanted to write and direct the Superman movie. As I keep on saying, he was forced into it. And he gave Safran and Zaslav and Warner Brothers Discovery fair warning that he was a one-trick pony behind closed doors, and they would not listen to him. Instead of going for a Peter Jackson, a Steven Spielberg, or someone who actually has an idea for a Superman movie, who's passionate about Superman, they went for James Gunn. Because this studio, no matter who runs it, is obsessed with marvelizing DC, giving the DCU, DC franchise, DC film, this Marvel Cinematic Universe aesthetic. And DC, just read one fucking DC comic, and I don't care what DC comic you read. Funny yesterday when I put on there what I just said earlier, that Superman isn't supposed to be relatable, he's supposed to be aspirational. And this guy, this Superman shill for this movie, who happened to have a banner on his bio of James Gunn's Superman, no surprise there, was trying to correct me that I was wrong. But I'm not wrong. The reason most Superman movies haven't the character doesn't relate to you. I think you can make Clark Kent relatable, but Superman shouldn't be relatable to people. He should be someone that you look up to, right? That's what this film keeps on saying. Look up. You're supposed to look up to this character. But let me tell you something else which is very, very interesting. Nicholas Hoult has been talking about how he auditioned to play Superman and Clark Kent, and he didn't get the gig. And instead, he got the gig for Lex Luthor. For me, Nicholas Hoult isn't Lex Luthor in any way, shape, or form. If I'm writing and directing a Superman movie and Nick Hoult comes in to play Superman, I'm giving him the role. He's perfect to play Superman. And he would have given us one hell of a Clark Kent. That's what I believe. I can imagine, I've got imagination. I can close my eyes right now and imagine Nicholas Hoult giving us one hell of a Clark Kent. And I think he would be a great Superman. If you look at Nick's early career, he played a lot of good guys that you just like, that you fall in love with. And I think that's what you need for Superman. The only reason David Corenswet ever got this gig is because he was a fan casting, which of course Gunn denies, but these are the facts. They felt we're replacing Henry Cavill, which is one of the most dumbest, unbusiness, astute decisions that's ever made in the history of Hollywood. It would be like replacing Luke Skywalker, or, mid-movie replacing Christopher Lambert as Connor McLeod. It's the dumbest thing they've ever done. So they thought, how can we get away with this? Oh, we'll choose a fan casting. They'll soon forget Cavill. But no one's forgetting Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill was a great modern-day Superman. And he did something that people thought no one could do, which is have a Superman that's as relatable and as popular as Christopher Reeve. Nobody thought anyone could replace Reeve. To be fair, Tom Welling found a corner of fandom. Henry Cavill has found a fandom from modern day younger people. people still believe Henry Cavill should be Superman, and this is going to be one of the biggest problems for this movie.